they're getting expensive. I certainly wouldn't do that back in the UK. Someone was praised for sending an email at 3 AM. Their rent doubled. I am constantly toggling between Grab and Gojek. Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel and a happy new year to you all. I hope you're all doing well. So I thought I would start this year off with an updated video for you all. I have made many videos about Singapore, living in Singapore as a foreigner over the past 8 years. Can you believe that I've been living in Singapore for 8 years? I don't know how I made it to 8 years, but here I am. But a lot has changed in Singapore over the past 8 years, and like I said, I've done loads of videos about living here previously. I think a jet is going over the house. But I thought it was about time that I did an updated video, especially for 2023. Maybe some of you are planning to move here this year. So yeah, if you enjoy this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out, and subscribe for more. I've got a long list, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so let's talk about the first pro, education in Singapore. The education system here in Singapore is highly regarded, highly ranked. If you're looking to enroll your child into a private international school or a public school, there are lots of choices here in Singapore with world-class education. One con to the education system is that I've heard that the enrollments for public and private schools can be oversubscribed, so you kind of have to start in advance with the application process so that you don't miss out. Public education in Singapore is probably the most affordable option, but if you're going into private international schools, that's where the fees are going to really increase. Some of the fees can be pretty astronomical for foreigners. So yeah, do bear in mind that education fees here could definitely be higher. In Singapore, the healthcare system is great. I feel very looked after here. There's plenty of amazing doctors and hospitals here in Singapore. Really world-class healthcare service here, something I'm very appreciative of. The con to the healthcare system here is the possible upfront costs. Like I said, if you have good healthcare insurance, then you won't have to worry about this so much. But if you end up in hospital, upfront costs of surgery can be pretty shocking. I'll leave a video up here as an example of those costs. Same for if you're paying for prescriptions up front. Giving birth in Singapore is a very expensive process, so there's obviously pros and cons to this subject as well. Right, let's talk about accommodation in Singapore because it is a hot topic for 2023. As I've covered in my ebook, there are a variety of different accommodations available in Singapore, ranging from HDB apartments, which are slightly more affordable. Locals tend to opt for this option. We also then have condos and landed houses, which kind of increase in price. Yeah, rental properties here in Singapore some have had almost a 70% increase, which is absolutely insane. I know when I moved here, 1-bedroom condo would be in the range of $2,700 to maybe $3,000. I think maybe a minimum cost for a 1-bed now is around $4,500 for a condo apartment. As always, I would love you guys to leave your comments below. Maybe you can let me know what accommodation you live in Singapore and what current rent you're paying. If your rent has increased, also do let me know in the comments below. I think it's really educational for everyone to see the price differences, so feel free to leave those below. Some of my friends have had their rent doubled, and it's getting crazy out here. Not only that, but there is such a huge demand for accommodation in Singapore that I know people are struggling to find places as well. It's something that's definitely affecting me personally. For some people, it's just becoming too expensive to live here, which is so unfortunate. But yeah, with an up to 70% increase, it's really not surprising. Before we continue, I just want to say a quick thank you to today's video sponsor, which is ExpressVPN. If you guys don't know what a VPN is, it's a virtual private network that allows you to access content and news from your home country that might not be accessible in the country you're currently living in. Now, honestly speaking, a VPN is an absolute must for a foreigner that's living abroad or an expat. I couldn't live my day-to-day life without having a VPN for a few different reasons. First of all, for privacy. I work remotely a lot, so I use public Wi-Fi in coffee shops, other co-working spaces, and it is essential that you have a VPN turned on when you're using public Wi-Fi to prevent anyone hacking your private information, personal documents, bank details. You do not want people stealing your information. The second reason I love using a VPN is that I use it to access all my favorite shows from back home in the UK. Love Island has just begun again. Absolutely addicted to Love Island, so I'm going to be able to watch Love Island. I've been using ExpressVPN for over a year now, and I recommend it to all my friends and family as well as you guys. So if you want to find out about how you can get 3 free months with ExpressVPN, you can go to expressvpn.com/GeorgiaC for 3 free months. I'll leave the link down below in the description box for you. One pro to the cost of living topic is that there is lots of ways to make your money go further. I personally recommend getting a credit card. There are lots of different options for cashback cards as well as miles cards. I know expats tend to opt for air miles credit cards because when you live in Singapore, you tend to travel a lot. There's obviously some incredible surrounding countries in Asia that you'll kind of like be hopping to, usually on a monthly basis if you can, and there's lots to explore. So the miles really add up. You also earn miles every time you just spend in Singapore. So groceries, eating out, dining, you accumulate miles that way. So that's a really amazing way to make your money go further. I will leave some of the most highly recommended credit cards down below in the description for you. In Singapore, there's this awesome thing with SingSaver as well. They actually give you rewards every time you sign up for credit cards, which is, I think, amazing and really unique. It's actually how I just got my Apple AirPods 2nd gen, as just like a free gift for signing up to get my credit card, which is amazing. So yeah, I will leave some of my favorites down below. I was stupid enough to not have one for the majority of my stay here in Singapore, and trust me, I've missed out on a lot of savings, a lot of perks. So yeah, don't make the same mistake that I made. Another pro of Singapore is great for career opportunities and the ease of doing business here. Singapore does attract a lot of foreign investment. It's an amazing business hub with a low tax rate. And so if you are thinking of bringing your business here or opening a company here, it is highly recommended. I actually highly recommend that you check out a company called Awesome. They make setting up a business in Singapore super easy. I can't recommend them enough. It can be a really confusing process to try and do on your own. So they have an awesome team there that will help you set up everything. They'll help set up your business. They cover reporting, accounting, taxation, all of that is done through them. So if you want to check those out, I will again leave a link down below for you. I actually have an 8% off promo code you can use as well if you want to use any of their services. They also deal with visas too, so if you're looking to get EPs or any kind of visa, they will help you out. On the subject of working in Singapore, a con, which I've spoken about a few times, is the work-life balance in Singapore. Now this varies for every company that you work for. It's kind of widely known that if you work for a foreign company in Singapore, you're probably likely to have more of a work-life balance. But if you work for a local Singaporean company, there is some issues there with switching off from work. I mean, one of the reasons I actually left my job in Singapore, I was working for a startup, was that just the work culture was just over consuming. I was expected to be available at all times, even when I was on leave or on holiday. I was told that I needed to be accessible at all times. WhatsApp is like a go-to form of communication for many businesses here, which means that you can't ever really switch off from work. Working outside of your contractual hours was encouraged. I remember at one time someone was praised for sending an email at 3 AM. I'm not even joking. That personally is something that I really wasn't comfortable with, and I actually talked more about this in depth in a recent vlog, so I'll link that up here if you want to hear other people's input. A lot of you told me stories about your work culture here in Singapore as well. So yeah, that's something you might want to consider. Also another really great reason just to start your own business if you can. But let's talk about food paradise. One pro to move into Singapore. Local food you can get for as low as $5 for a plate of dinner at a local hawker center, and there are just so many different Asian cuisines that you can choose from. You're probably never going to get bored of the food here. One of the cons is groceries can be very expensive here in Singapore. as well as alcohol. If you're a big drinker, you're looking at about paying at least $20 for a cocktail. And yeah, going for a round of drinks, that can really add up. So that might just be something you want to bear in mind. Just very quickly, safety. Safety is like a #1 pro to living in Singapore. I don't think there's any con to the safety aspect. There's an incredibly low crime rate here in Singapore, which means that you just always feel safe. I mean, don't be too comfortable, I suppose, but for the most part, Singapore is incredibly safe. I can go running or walking at night on my own if I needed to as a woman. Can't do that so much in the Western world. I certainly wouldn't do that back in the UK. Things like leaving your laptop or phone on a table in a coffee shop and you're just popping to the toilet, it's pretty much guaranteed that you will always return with your belongings there and things don't get stolen, which is amazing. I love Singapore so much for the safety aspect. Also an amazing option if you're thinking of bringing a family here as well. And my last topic, which is transport. Now, you guys know, if you've been watching me for a few years now, I've been a big advocate of public transport in Singapore, and I've always bragged about the price of taxis in Singapore and how cheap they are in comparison to the Western world. And I'm so sad to do an update on this, but unfortunately it's just not really the case anymore. When I first moved here back in 2015, the average Grab ride, I'm not kidding, was about $5. So I could pay $5 for like a 20-minute cab ride, and I was just shocked. Over the last 6 months, once again, we've seen just a crazy surge in the price of Grab and Gojek prices. Unfortunately now, the average taxi ride is costing about $25 minimum. And I've seen it go as high as $45 just for like a 10-15 minute trip, which I'm so sad about because it was such an accessible way to get around. But do bear in mind that public transport is still incredible in Singapore. The MRT system is so fast and efficient. They've just opened loads of new MRT stations, which means it's so easy to get around, and the bus system is obviously great as well. But if you're thinking about getting cabs, you might just want to bear in mind that they're getting expensive. They're really getting expensive. Like, I am constantly toggling between Grab and Gojek, trying to find the best price, which is weird because one ride on Gojek can say $15 and then Grab will be like $30. So I think it's wise to download both the apps, toggle between the two. I've also heard about a new app called Tada, which apparently is great as well. I've not actually tried it myself, but yeah, let me know if you guys have any taxi price hacks. It's kind of got crazy out here. Okay guys, I think I'm gonna end the video here. I think I've touched on most of the important pros and cons of living in Singapore. Obviously, I value your input as always, so if you want to leave your comments below, if you have experience living in Singapore, leave your pros and cons as well. I think it's great for everyone to see. Like I said, links to everything I've mentioned will be down in the description box below. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more from me. You can also find me on Instagram at The Vintage Vision if you want to see more of me there. So yes, thank you guys for watching as always, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.